like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is "You Are the Light of the World." And pretty much, this is a topic based off what you see from these scoffers, these different Christians that are coming up against the Hebrew Israelites. As you see them, coming up and pretty much trying to dismantle, the truth that is being taught. Just bear with me 1 second. Spare me 1 second. All right, so like about that. And that's what you see happening right now is you got some real weirdos in this world, boy. You got some real weirdos in this world, man. Anyway, as you see, you have the scoffers, you have the wacky tacky Christians, you have different groups that are trying to come up against the truth that came out of One West. And as you brothers already know, Elder Pastor posted up a video that Vocab Malone put up, which I believe he went to the Dallas camp maybe 6 months ago, maybe a year ago. I don't remember the exact date. And he just finally put it up. And I don't believe he ever put up the video where he came to visit New York, when he came to the Apostles camp. But pretty much all this is really happening because of what Yahweh Shai said. Because I watched Elder Pastor's video, I believe yesterday, and I was watching the response that Elder Apostle Gabar just did, dealing with that whole subject. And pretty much as I was listening to it, thinking about a topic to go into, that thought came into mind, the scripture that says, ye are the light of the world. So we're going to start off with that. I remember Salakia, and that's what came to mind, that's what came to mind when I was listening to it, because this is what they're coming against us, because we deal with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and the world doesn't know Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and they hate this light that is being taught, and that's why they come against us. It's not because of us, it's not anything, because according to them, we're not studied, we're not learned. So it has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with in the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's why they come against us. I'm gonna do, go as long as I can on this lesson. Hopefully it's edifying. As you can see, there's a few people out here. So I'm gonna just, say a few words on it and close out, unless the Spirit has me go a little longer. But let's start off with the book of Matthew 5. See, Matthew 5, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the so-called scholars or the so-called Christians call these the Beatitudes, if I'm not mistaken, unless it's Matthew 5 or Matthew 10. I don't remember exactly which one. But these are heavy, yeah, the Beatitudes. It says it right up top. Yep. And these are things that Yahweh told us and spoke to us about to warn us of things that were going to happen, walking in this walk that we're walking, because the world sees things through a different lens than we do. See, we have the picture clear because the Lord turned something up inside of us when we heard this word and opened up our minds to be able to see what's truly going on. Now, you have those people that have truths and they talk about different things that are truth, but as far as having the true truth, they don't have it, you know. And this is um a very precious thing because not many people can get it. So let's start off at Matthew 5. We're going to read through some of this and see how far we can get. And like I said, lesson may not be long because it's just based around scoffers and so-called Christians and different religious groups that come up against the Hebrew Israelites. And the reason why they do that is because we are that light, because we're representatives of Yahweh Shai. We are the true ambassadors of Yahweh Shai, not Christ. And they see that, but they don't want to accept that because they don't view us as someone that is oh man, I hope these people are not coming over here to sit down. But anyway, they don't really view us as anything. They view us as insignificant, as a bunch of radicals, a bunch of bugged out individuals. But hey, be that as it may, we're gonna continue to roll on in the spirit. So this is Matthew chapter 5, verse 1. Oh, and that's another thing I wanted to say. That you have brothers that try to get super deep and try to go into the deep breakdowns, deep dark saying breakdowns of the scriptures, and you have things like this in there, like Matthew 5 and Matthew 10, that are very deep chapters in itself. That brothers be like, I ain't gonna deal with that. That's too easy, too simple. But this is what the hardcore, foundational scriptures, that that will actually guide us. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and make that move because say jumping on everybody. So just bear with me 1 second. Yeah, just bear with me 1 second, brothers, because like I said, this isn't scripted, but every time you try to do the work, sometimes, them spirits get activated and they want to just hang around and hang around. It's an inside joke. But anyways, so we're just gonna continue on. Got one more table. But anyway, pretty much, you have certain brothers that can actually benefit from these chapters, and they rather try to get super deep and go into many other deep breakdowns of the scriptures and miss out on the deep foundation faith building scriptures. All right, so now let's go Matthew 5 and 1. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, now remember, Yahushua would try to hide himself, but what did the scripture say? That he could not be hid. Matter of fact, let's start off with that. Let's start off with that real quick. Let me see if I can find that real quick. And if anyone find this lesson boring, then please move on. Move on to, booty shaking videos or whatever it is that floats your boat. Because this is not what you're looking for. I got people coming on the account. Look, I'm just be honest with you. I don't have time to be playing games with people, you know. So you come on the comment board talking some madness, I'm just gonna block you. I'm not even, you know, I may say something, maybe say it once or twice, and after that I'm just blocking you. I don't have time to be playing games. You know, we got a job to do. We got a message to push out there. We don't have time to be going back and forth with somebody with some bullshit philosophy that they're trying to come with, you know. So this is Mark 7:24. And from thence he arose and went into the borders of Tyre and Sidon, and entered into an house, and would have no man know it. So he didn't tell anybody about it. It says, but he could not be hid. Because why? Because Yahushua said he's the true light. So he couldn't be hid. So no matter what he did, he couldn't be hid. You know, he went there, didn't tell nobody, but they still found him. Why? Because that's them spirits, and they're attracted to Yahushua because he has that power. And no matter what, he couldn't know. He tried to hide himself, but they will always find him. So we're like that. We that are out here teaching the words of Yahweh Bashem Shai and the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Shai, we are like that magnet also that attract, whether it's, you know, the good fish or the bad fish, you know, whether it's righteous men or righteous women or demons, you know. Like anywhere we go, we post up in different places. We don't tell anybody where we at. You know, we have put up the live show as unlisted, and people still find us. You know, them spirits still manage to come around where we're at to bother us. You know, and same thing with you brothers out there, because it's all spiritual. You know, Yahushua said, you know, that we were going to suffer the same things that he suffered. So if he suffered persecution, you don't think it's us that's going to suffer persecution? Here it is. He's the second spirit in the heavens, the top spirit over all spirits underneath the Most High. You don't think that he went through it? We not going to go through it? We're not more special than Yahushua. So you damn better believe that whatever he went through, we're going to go through. You know? And this is why these people come against us. And, you know, deep down inside, some of them are just bugged out. But deep down inside, some of them know that what we have is the truth. But they have a demon on them, or demons on them to make them do that. Even guys that were part of Great Millstone at one time, or a part of a One West camp out there and fell off. And what do? They come and they persecute the very people that they learn from. You know, now whether it's justified or not, I don't know. But I know in the case of Great Millstone, they're not justified in it because, you know, we didn't, you know, we taught brothers the truth. You know, we told them what it is. We told them what to expect, how to expect it. We gave them the 100% truth. You know, we gave them everything. You know, we didn't hold back anything from the scriptures. We told them everything and how it was going to be, how it was going to go down. You know, and you brothers out there can attest to that. Beginning with the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and then the rest of the brothers out there been telling brothers what it is. Well, why are these people that fall off of Great Millstone or any other camp still come against the truth? Because them spirits, and because of this light. This is a light. When you turn on a light, you could be in the darkest forest. You turn on a light, guess what? All the different bugs out there are going to be attracted to that light. That's the same thing with this truth. So let's keep reading on in Matthew 5. It says, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. And brother, we are poor in spirit, we're mourning, and we will be comforted. Remember, Yahushua said that our sorrow will be turned into joy. Because, you know, sometimes certain days it doesn't matter who comes up or talks shit or whatever. You're like, yeah, whatever. But other days, you know, you're not in the mood for that. You know, you may be chafed in the spirit. You might be agitated or aggravated, or might feel depressed and don't want to deal with that. So it's an aggravation sometimes. You know, sometimes, you know, it's fun at times, you know, because it gets you to thinking, it gets you into digging and getting into certain research to contend against the nonsense that's being taught. But other days you don't want to hear about it. You don't want to know about it. So it can become a vexation at times, you know. It says, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. You see? And that is the truth. It says, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. It says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see the Most High. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of the Most High. All right. It says, blessed are they which are persecuted. Here we go. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So there is a reason why we're being persecuted for righteousness' sake, because we're not being persecuted for any other reason than for righteousness' sake, because there's nothing that they can say, you know, about this truth that can link us to any terrorists or to any murderers or any of that, anything of that nature, you know. But the persecution is coming because this is a part of that straight gate, you know. And this is why you have individuals like Vocab Malone that are groomed from very young ages to come against, you know, certain organizations that are set up. Just like Obama was groomed, and all these different presidents and senators and congressmen and mayors and all that, they were all groomed from a very young age for the job that they were going to do later on. And that's why you have meetings like the Bohemian Grove, you know, where they all come together, you know, and discuss policies for that next year or for the next 5 years or however many years they discuss it for. You know, who's going to be the next bad guy or whatever the case is, what's going to be the next major event or whatever the case is that they're going to do, you know. So this guy Vocab, from a very young age, he was groomed, but the way he was groomed, you know, for the newer age, so to speak, you know, he went, you know, he got into rapping, you know, something to try to be able to talk the lingo, so to speak, you know, of the people that he's trying to indoctrinate, because really he was set up to destroy Jake, bottom line. And that's why he's coming against the Hebrew Israelites, and that's why he's coming against the so-called Muslims, because they're trying to link this to Muslims. We have nothing to do with Muslims. We've had many battles scripturally, you know, spiritually, with the words of the scriptures with those Muslims, especially the ones that Jakes. We never even dealt with any Arabs, anything like that, unless we went to buy incense or oil or something like that, or went to the corner store and they happen to own it and you're buying something from there. But as far as any dialogue of the scriptures, we never had no dialogue of the scriptures with them outside of, you know, whatever business they might have, you know, like I said, incense, oils, or buying something from the store that they may own. The main discourse that we ever had with any Muslim was the Jakes that are into that religion, you know, and pretty much the discourse was what? Them getting cursed out for being in the wrong thing and shown out of the scriptures that they're in the wrong thing, you know. But this is all a part of the persecution, and that's why Vocab does what he does and others do what they do, because they're trying to link us to something that is not there, you know. So let's read that again. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So there's a great reward for the persecution that brothers are suffering, you know, and there will be a reward given, you know, soon, you know, because the kingdom is already given. Yahushua said, it is your Father's pleasure to grant unto you the kingdom, you know. So it says, blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. And that's what they're doing. Call us rapists, pedophiles, all kind of shit. You know, they'll tell you that we're, you know, that we are, you know, whatever. I mean, you name it, they say it. Trying to say that certain individuals that do these shootings are linked to the Hebrew Israelites, or this person is linked to that and that person. Look, whatever one individual does not reflect the rest of the organization, or whatever it may be. All right, you're gonna have those bugged out individuals that are not stable in their mind, that are gonna come across certain things and do certain things. That's where you have certain individuals, mainly Edomites, that'll listen to a rock song that tell them to go kill himself, and they go ahead and kill himself or try to. Now, does that mean that the person that did the music is guilty of it? of committing the act. No, that was their fault. That was their weak mind that fell to that. Even though the music business is very corrupt, but that's something. No, I'm not gonna get into that right now. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and shall persecute you. Now the word persecute means to follow. In Spanish, perseguir. So anywhere we go, you always got them devils and them demons following. We don't go looking for them. We don't go to their place where they at, or ambush journalize them. When you roll up on somebody and start asking them questions, out of the norm, without even giving them, the courtesy of telling them that you're there to interview them or whatever the case is. That's just ambush journalism that this guy Vocab does. He just rolls up on camps and just starts talking or starts reading, and that's why at first Elder Pastor didn't want to deal with him, because the way he came up, like a snake. But anyway, it says, blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. And we see that time and time again when we go back in the history, and we pretty much read about the Jeremiahs and the Isaiahs and the Ezras, and Malachi's, and how they were persecuted and how they were put in prison, or how they were tortured or killed, or whatever the case is, because this is all a part of the persecution of the men of the Lord for the truth's sake. Remember, we are representatives of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai in a world that does not want to be righteous, in a world that doesn't care for anything that's righteous. When we go to the book of St. John, chapter 7, and I believe it's 7, Yahushua said this: the world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it, that the works thereof are evil. So if the works of the world are evil, and we're testifying against it, if Yahushua testified against it and they hated him, what makes you think they're going to love us if we're teaching the same things that Yahushua taught? The scriptures say that the world will love his own. So if we were teaching the message, obviously we're not teaching the message of the world, because they don't like us. So that's a great thing. That's something to be rejoicing in. That's something worthy of rejoicing in, that we're not teaching the doctrine of the world, that the doctrine that we're teaching is hated, that the doctrine that we're teaching causes us to be persecuted, causes people to slander our names and bring up false witnesses and talk shit about us. Because at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's Yahweh Bashem Yahushua that they don't like. All right, so going back to Matthew 5, it says, ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden underfoot of men. All right, that's dealing with this knowledge, being the salt. Now, this is the point here. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on an hill cannot be hid. So as long as we're teaching this word, there could be no hiding. There could be, you can go to the most remotest places ever, and somehow, some way, them spirits are going to find you. They'll be around somehow, some way. They'll manifest somehow to persecute us, pretty much, because that's what the Lord said. He said, read it again. It says, ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. So this is why Yahushua couldn't hide. This is why the disciples couldn't hide. And why do you think eventually the disciples, which became apostles, why do you think that they actually got put to death in the long run? Because of the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, and they couldn't be hid. Sometimes they would hide. The Apostle Paul was let down by a basket in a rope. He escaped that one time. But eventually what happened? They caught up to them. Why? Because the truth of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is a magnet for the righteous and for them demons. Bottom line. So it says, Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. And another thing that Yahushua said, let's see, I believe that might be John the 12th chapter, but let me make sure. Just bear with me 1 second. Beautiful. John 12, and I started 30. Yahushua answered and said, this voice came not because of me, but for your sakes, dealing with Yahushua, the Most High Yahweh, when he said, this is my son in whom I am well pleased. You know, that the Lord said he glorified Yahushua. It says, it said, now is the judgment of this world, now shall the prince of this world be cast out. And I, if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all men unto me. And this is why people are drawn to this truth, whether good or bad, you know, whether good or bad. They're drawn to this truth. Why? Because this truth is powerful. And people laugh at it. They laugh at the truth. They mock it. They talk shit about it. They say that the Bible is fake and false and all that. But this Bible stirs up emotion, man. This Bible stirs up the minds of men. Because, you know, words are powerful. You know, you have that saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. That's not true. You know, these words hurt. That's why they said that those Jakes back then gnashed upon, with their teeth, they gnashed upon Stephen. They got so mad, they clenched their teeth. Ah, you mother. And then they started to wailing on him. Because these words cut deep into the heart, man. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 12. For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful. It's quick because it just comes at an instant, and it's also powerful. Because although someone can sit there and you can be cutting them with the word, they could just sit there and try to act like it ain't affecting them, but inwardly it's affecting them. And eventually you cut them enough, and it's going to start showing. Their emotions are going to start showing, because this word is very powerful. For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. That's why if you come in with some bullshit, eventually you're going to get cut. You know, because men can speak with their mouth and say certain things, but what's really in their heart? That's why the Lord said he tries the reins of the hearts of men. Your innermost thoughts, your innermost being, you know, who you really are. You know, what your real intentions are all about, you know? And this word will draw that out, you know? So, neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. So pretty much all that are in the house, meaning everyone that hears his word, it affects them one way or the other. And this is why we are set up to be prophets unto the nations, you know, because we are to prophesy to the nation of Israel that if they turn around from their wickedness, there's a reward for them, and the Lord is going to deliver them. And to 2/3 that if they don't get their act together, they're going to be destroyed. And we also to prophesy to the nations of their future judgment that's coming to them. You know, so this word covers all angles, man. It covers everything because it's quick and it's powerful. And that's why this is written in the book of Jeremiah. You brothers pretty much know where I'm going. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 5 and 14. Wherefore thus saith the Lord power of hosts, because you speak this word, behold, I will make my words in thy mouth fire, and this people wood, and it shall devour them. And this is how the people were devoured, by the words of the prophets. Let's go from there, to Hosea chapter 6 and verse 5. Therefore have I hewed them by the prophets. So how did the Most High hew them by the prophets? by the words which the prophet spoke, which are the words of the Most High, because the words of the Most High don't go out void. So it says, therefore have I hewed them by the prophets, I have slain them by the words of my mouth, and thy judgments are as the light that goeth forth. And the judgments of the Lord are constantly going out, day and night. These words are speaking, day and night. These words are going out, day and night. Prophecies are going out, day and night. But what happens? People are not privy to it, because they're not considering in their mind that, man, could this be the Lord being mad? You know, is he upset or angry that all these things are happening? You know, people out here, they're like, these jakes out here are pretty much like those Israelite foreigners that wouldn't hear the truth anymore. The scriptures say that they were past feeling. So in other words, at one time you might have had a guilty conscience about certain things, but after a while that guilty conscience goes away. So this generation out here is like those Israelites that have no regard for the Most High, period. You know, they don't talk about the Most High, they don't think about Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, they don't talk about the scriptures, they don't talk about anything spiritual, because there's a disconnect there. And that's why the Apostle Paul had to go to those Israelite foreigners back then to draw them in. But this is Zephaniah 3 and 5. It says, the just Lord is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. So the unjust knoweth no shame, meaning that the ones that are unrighteous, they don't take it into consideration that the things that are happening around the world are happening because the Most High is allowing them to happen and bringing them to pass for a reason, for signs, you know, for, look, you better get yourself together or else. So they're past feeling. They don't even consider it anymore. And oh, that's another one, another good one. Isaiah chapter 1. Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3. It says, the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. So you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, especially you younger generations, and some of the older, you don't consider the Lord. You know, a lot of you older generations, you'll say you love the Lord and Jesus this, and even though that's not his name, and God this and God that, even though that's not his name. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of what's written in the scriptures, you don't want no parts of that, because your fear towards the Lord is taught by the precept of men, and that is so true. And these pastors that you have in your churches, whether it's Pentecostal, them so-called Latin tribes, or the Baptist church, so-called Negro tribes, or any other religion out there that encompasses all the Israelites, the preachers of these churches were brought up and taught under the guise of Plantation Christianity. And that's what you're learning. You're learning the religion of slavery. You're learning the religion of the master. You're not learning the true scriptures. You're not learning the true breakdowns of the Bible. You're learning what the master wanted you to know back in slavery. That's why Apostle Elder Tahar called it Plantation Christianity, because that's what you're learning. And whenever you speak, that's what you speak. You speak that plantation Christianity. Because when you compare what you're saying out of your mouth based off of what you learned from that plantation Christianity, and you go back into the scriptures, it doesn't match. And when one goes into it and tries to show you that you're wrong, you don't want to hear it. Because by that time, your conscience was seared by a hot iron, unless the Most High pulled that veil off of you and allowed you to see the truth and turn around and become born again. The true definition of being born again. You see? But a lot of you are caught up into the American way. You're caught up into that plantation Christianity, and you cannot shake it. The only way to shake that plantation Christianity or the American way is through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rakakwadash. You know? So now let's go back. There's a precept here I want to check out real quick in Matthew 5 and 14. You are the light of the world. It's a P. Just bear with me 1 second. Proverbs 4:18. Let's see what that says. I think I know what it says. One of my favorite scriptures. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 18. Yep. But the path of the just is as a shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. And we see that happening. The closer we get to the end, the more clearer things are getting. The more understanding that's coming out. You know, the more vivid the picture is getting. You know, because at one time, even when you come into the truth, there's still like certain stages. There's still a certain darkness that's there, that as time goes on, it starts to be made more and more clear, especially the closer we get to Yahweh Shai coming back. And that's why this is written in 1 Corinthians 13:9. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. So when we say we have 100% truth, we have 100% truth of what's written and given to us now. There is much knowledge, wisdom, and understanding beyond our comprehension, that if we were to try to learn it now, we would explode in these bodies. That's why we have to wait to the kingdom. But the things that are necessary and profitable for salvation, those things we know. So it says, but when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. So we'll know perfectly everything once Yahweh Shai comes back. Whatever we don't know now, when Yahweh Shai comes back, we'll know perfectly. It says, when I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, see? But then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known. And the closer we get to the end, the more and more clear the glass is getting. That darkness that was in, that was covered up, that haze is starting to be lifted, day by day. This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and 17. Now the Lord is that spirit, and where the spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But we all with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord, are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord, because the glass is becoming clearer and clearer as the day approaches. Things are being made more and more plain. And the things are being made more and more plain, and the light grows brighter and brighter. You're gonna have those moths out there that's gonna come against it. And this is why you have individuals like Vocab Malone coming against the truth, because they see the light, but they don't comprehend the light. They don't like the light, so they want the light to be put out. They say, "Look, I'm the keeper of the light. You got to come up under me in order for your thing to be valid." And we're like, "Who the hell are you? We don't know you." Yahweh Shai said that a stranger's voice would my sheep not hear. We don't know nothing you got. We don't know nothing that you're saying, man. We don't acknowledge nothing that you're saying, unless you're saying something scripturally that's truth. But your Plantation Christianity is way off, dog. So don't try to come to us with that madness. It says, this is 1 Corinthians 3 and 19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. So the knowledge that you're teaching is foolishness with the Most High, because it's a doctrine of the world. It's not something that is of the Most High. It's of the world. And like Yahweh Shai said, my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. A stranger's voice will they not hear. So the elect of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai are under the spell of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and they will follow Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai until the end. And there's nothing that anyone can put out there that can sway them from this truth. It may seem appealing, it may seem right, but there's going to be a point where they're going to be able to see right through it. Like the scripture said, that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Because these devils are very cunning, because that's how the Most High made them. They're very crafty. That's how the Most High made them. That's why the Lord said, let's go to our Colossians, the 2nd chapter. Let's go to Colossians chapter 2 and 8. It says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, because there's a lot of vain deceit out here. And that vain deceit is coming in the form of these religions, in the form of these philosophies, in the form of the minds, the things that are formulated in the minds of these people that are bugged out, that think that they're deeper than deep. And that's why they get into every different book that you can find out there. When the scriptures say that much study is a weariness of the flesh, and making many books, there's no end. And there's no book that can be made with the scriptures. So it says, after the tradition of men, and that's exactly what it is. And Jake would rather be taught the traditions of men and the philosophies of men than to be taught the right way of the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, because they don't have that special ingredient to approach to the light and to get involved in the light, something that can be beneficial to them. But it goes back to the curse that King David said, that let their table become a snare, and that which shall be for their welfare, let it be, let it be a snare unto them, a trap. It says, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Yahushai. Now there's another one. Let me see if I can find that one. Just bear with me right quick. Just bear with me. Should come right up, because I think that, yep. Okay, Ephesians. Let's go to Ephesians now. Ephesians chapter 4. And I'll start at 13. Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of the Most High, unto a perfect man. Because not everyone out there is perfect. People talk about the scriptures, they talk about the Lord, even though it's the other Jesus, but they're not perfect. They're not a perfect man. Why? Because they don't have the perfect understanding of the scriptures. Unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Yahushua, because there's a measure to this thing, and there's a way to come into this thing. When we first came in, we were what? Children. We were babies. We had to suck the milk until we were grown enough in the spirit to be able to eat the solids, to be able to digest the solids. And after a while, you don't have to suck on a titty like that, because you become weaned, like a child becomes weaned from their mother's milk, and they don't longer have to go back to sucking the breast. All right, it says that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro, and that's what's happening with a lot of individuals. They're being tossed to and fro. It's like they're in a boat that's in a stormy weather, and the boat is being rocked all over the place, and you don't know where the boat is going to end up. And that's how these philosophies are. They're very turbulent, very troublesome. So if you're not grounded and rooted and settled on that rock, Yahushai, you're going to be taken by that storm. It says, and carried about with every wind of doctrine. So every time a wind of doctrine comes in, flat earth, phew, there you go, you're right, you're going with it. This, whoop, you're going with that. The black conscious community, whoop, you're going with that. Islam, whoop, you're going with that wind. And every time a new wind comes up, you're right in there surfing that wind. Never having a stable bone in your body, so to speak, spiritually. By the sleight of men. Now let's look up this word sleight, because there's a lot of underhanded stuff going on out here. And matter of fact, what I want to do is get this precept before I look that up. Let's go to the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2, and I want to still look up that word. I mean, I got it now, so let me just look up this word real quick so I don't forget it, and then we can read the scripture and then go back to it. Okay, leave it there. All right, so the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 17. It says, for we are not as many which corrupt the word of the Most High, but as of sincerity, but as of the Most High, in the sight of the Most High, speak we in Yahushua. Because at the end of the day, there is no benefit in lying. Oh yeah, you might benefit for the moment, but guess what? In the long run, you're gonna be dealt with, man, because you're gonna be beat with more stripes for being a deceiver. There's one thing not to know and be punished, but there's another thing to know and still do that wickedness, and you're gonna have a greater punishment. So now let's look up that word slight. It says kubeya, kubeya. Cube, a cube that is die for playing, like dice when we roll on the dice. Gambling that is figuratively artifice or fraud. Now let's look up the word slight in the common dictionary. So it's a fraud. So these are fraudulent teachings that are being taught, that are leading people astray. And when we look up the word slight in the common dictionary, we have slight, adroitness in using the hands, like dexterity. It doesn't really give you too much. Let's go back. All right, so let's all right, won't let me go back, so let me try that again. All right, sleight of hand, manual dexterity in the execution of tricks, and that's what they do. They're very good. They're very good in speech. What is that? That's Romans. They're very good in speeches, and they're very manipulative in the way that they can put words together. But yet, still in all, the elect will not fall for that. Romans 16 and 17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, and avoid them. And it's very important to avoid them. Why? Because if you don't avoid them and you're hanging with them, that demon that's on them can jump on you. Now here it is, you're all messed up in the spirit because you didn't want to separate from that individual because you was cool with that individual, even though you know he was going off. It says, for they that are slaki, for they that are such serve not our Lord Yahushai, but their own belly. And that's what it is. They're serving their own belly. It says, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple, because the simple are not grounded. And they give those good speeches. They can bring out scriptures and they can break things down. But what they're teaching is wrong. But to the mind that's not trained, they can't discern that. They can't discern, whether or not the person is telling the truth or not. Let's go from there back to Hebrews. Let's go to Hebrews, the 5th chapter and the 12th verse. For the time you ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of the Most High, and I become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. Yes, so you have to be grounded. Because if you're not really grounded in this truth, really, you have no business being a teacher. Now you could teach certain basic things, even though you're not really fully, grounded. But the key is to be grounded. And once you get grounded, then you'll be a better vessel and better prepared to teach. Because at the end of the day, that is the most important thing, is to teach. We're not just teaching to be teaching. We're not just teaching the air. We're teaching for the sake of this word going out so that the Lord can seal his elect. And in the meantime, as we're teaching, we're hoping to be teaching other men that are worthy of teaching, to become teachers. Because although you do have a big cloud of witnesses that will just be followers that really won't be involved in this work, they may help however they can, because not everyone's a prophet. Even Moses said that I would that all the people were prophets, but the Lord is looking for his men to teach. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2 and 1. Thou therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Yahushua HaMashiach, and the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also, because that's at the end of the day, that's what's most important. is to teach others that can teach others also, you know, because the harvest is plenteous, but the laborers are few. So if you want to become a teacher, you have to go back to the principles of the milk of these scriptures and build up your foundation the right way. It says, for everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. And as long as someone is a babe, what did the Apostle Paul say? As long as you're the heir, but as long as you a child, you're under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the Father. Okay? It says, but strong meat belongeth to them that are full of age, are full of Salakia, but strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. See, to be able to discern those things, you know, and that way you have the vocab Malones and the other so-called theologians or so-called scholars or whatever the case they call themselves, religious thumpers, will not be able to sway you from your faith, because you're resolved in your mind, you're strong in the spirit, you're rooted in the truth, and nothing can pull you away. I believe that's in Colossians. We were just there too. Colossians, and we get ready to close it in a few. Colossians, it is chapter 2, but let me see. Colossians 2 and 6. As you have therefore received Yahushua HaMashiach the Lord, so walk ye in him, rooted and built up in him, and established in the faith, as you have been taught, abounding therein with thanksgiving. And the chastening and the afflictions and those and things of that nature are all happening as a way to cement our position, so to speak. I'm going to show you that. Let's go to the book of 1 Peter, chapter 5. Let's start at 8. It says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour, always looking for that weak link. Whom resist, how do we resist him? Steadfast in the faith, by this word. It says, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. So we're not the only ones going through what we go through. And brothers got to realize that there's no temptation that is taken man, but such as is common to man. But the Lord said that the same temptation that comes upon us, he will make a way for us to escape it. Right? It says, but the Most High of all grace, who hath called us unto his eternal glory by Yahushua HaMashiach, after that you have suffered. See, there's a key. We have to suffer. The scripture said that Yahushua, the captain of our faith, was made perfect through suffering. It says, after that you have suffered a while. See, strengthen, settle you, establish, strengthen, settle you. So that stability or that strength comes through what? It comes through the knowledge, wisdom, understanding, the faith, the belief, and also the afflictions and the punishments. It says, rooted and built up in him, and established in the faith, as you have been taught, abounding therein with thanksgiving. See, so that's the main thing, and that's why, you know, being the light of the world, we're going to be persecuted, because these individuals out there hate the light, you know, and they're trying to see what they can do to destroy it. But you can't destroy it. It's already out there. It's the words of the Most High are like the juggernaut. They just intensify more and more. And the more you come at it, the greater you make it. See, there's a lot of individuals over the years, you brothers that have been in this thing at least for the last 10, 11, 12 years or so, you've witnessed different individuals that came against the truth and fell away. But every time they came against the truth, what did they do? They opened up the truth to another avenue of people that weren't watching before. And every time they open up that avenue to somebody else that's not watching, guess what? You have some of the elect among them that are being pulled out of them. And this is the Most High's strategic master chess playing. It's strategy. And every time vocab comes, he has a decent following. I'm not sure how many people follow that madness, but it's open up to them, and some of them are seeing it. And that's why right now you have a lot of these Christian churches that are plantation Christian churches that are suffering, because a lot of people a lot of jakes are starting to wake up to the truth of the Hebrew Israelites, and they're leaving the Christian church. You see? Because this word is very impactful, it's very powerful, and it's causing things to happen. And this is why they want to stop it. Because we haven't done any physical thing. All we done was teach the word, break things down. The Lord revealed to us, we revealed to y'all. Same thing with you brothers out there that learn the words and the truth, and you get revelation, the Lord, and you break things down to people out there. So this is very powerful. It's a very powerful tool. And when Esau used the internet or created the internet, that was the Lord setting that up to get this word pushed out there throughout the four corners of the earth to fulfill his words. And this word shall be published to the four corners of the earth, then shall the end come. So we're coming to that time. So as the title is, ye are the light of the world. And this is why the persecutions are coming. It's going to get more intense, it's going to get rougher and all that. But we just remember that there is a reward coming. This is not in vain. This is part of what's cementing our position, in this truth. And we have to remember that, because being in the flesh, the first thing you think about is you want the pain or hell or whatever it is, whatever affliction we're going through to go away. But that's part of our our cross to bear too, and that's why you'll go somewhere and then people will cut you off or look at you dirty or talk greasy to you. It's because there's them demons trying to stir your spirit up. They're trying to stir our spirit up. And sometimes they get the best of us, but a lot of times they don't. Hey, so with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified. And to the next time I say Shalom. And Salaki, I didn't get a chance to really check the comm board too much. I did see that the Elder Manat Zakbar clipped somebody off of there, but it's all good, man, So Lord's will, see you brothers next time, and Shalom.